I'm Amber.
I'm Victoria.
And we're here to talk to you about detox symptoms, what you could expect, and natural ways to support your body. So we're going to preface this whole video with, this is not supposed to be a scary, I feel like crap the whole time experience. So let's understand how we could be experiencing detox symptoms. So if you were to do a Whole30 diet, right, and you're used to eating junk, you would expect to have headaches,
tired, nausea,
emotional detoxing. So that makes sense to a lot of people, right? That's exactly what is happening with black oxygen, folic and humic acid. You're putting a bunch of really good nutrients and minerals, fulvic and humic acid, into your body, and that's going to create an environment that's going to cause parasites to want to leave, biofilms, Candida. Candida and parasites are probably where you're going to notice most of your detox symptoms coming from. So if you have like Candida in your body, and you start to do like eat healthy, parasite cleanse, heavy metal cleanse, whatever, you're going to notice these natural detox symptoms because they're dying and it's leaving. So if you don't know the effects of Candida, I would encourage you to go look it up. Yeast is a huge problem in our body, and so you want to first, let's talk about some natural ways that we can support ourselves, and this kind of ties into it. So nutrition, what are some things you want to avoid when you start to do?
Well, you want to try to avoid alcohol, coffee if you can, just because those dehydrate you more, which usually is the opposite of what you want to do. You actually want to drink a lot of water to flush out toxins.
How much?
So I think it's, okay, let me think about this. It's your body weight divided by 2, and that number in ounces. So if you're 150 pounds, that's 75 ounces of water a day.
It sounds like a lot. In the beginning, you will pee a lot, but as you start adjusting to drinking that much water, your body will adjust along with you, and you're not going to be peeing all the time. So that's the question people ask is, well, I don't want to be on the toilet all the time. Like, you also don't want to be dehydrated while you're going
which makes you feel worse, actually.
It does. Because when you're dehydrated, you'll have headaches, you'll be irritable, your bowels won't be moving. So constipation and bowel issues is something that you might notice as well in starting any kind of detox regimen, because you are flushing toxins out and you want to be drinking the water. You want to be eating fibrous foods to push everything out.
Yeah, you should be drinking that water even if you're not taking it.
Yeah, adding a little bit of lemon to your water helps as well to detox in the process.
And it's tasty.
Yeah, I love water. If you don't like water, you can look into other ways to sweeten it.
I know there's
electrolyte drops or whatever.
Yeah, and then Aldi has a True Lemon one that's actually not horrible ingredients.
Yeah.
But
do whatever you need to do to get it into your body. Did you talk about alcohol?
Yeah, so a little bit. So don't drink alcohol. I mean, you everything in moderation, I guess. Yeah.
The thing with alcohol is that it stresses your liver, and if you're detoxing, you might already be detoxing your liver, and so if you start putting something on your liver that's going to stress it out even more, you're probably going to be angry, irritable. I talked to someone
You will be.
You will be, yeah. Look around week 3 or 4, if you start getting super irritable, it's an emotional detox. So personal experience, me too. I think our children, if you notice this in your children, it's probably going to come in whining a lot more, tantrums. Yeah.
My son was more hitting, so his was a emotional retracing, as in like anger was coming out.
Yeah.
That was like what he had to process through.
And if you don't know much about how your emotions are stored into different parts of your body, I'd encourage you to look into that. Anger is stored in your liver, fear is stored in your stomach. So you can expect those things to come out, but it's not an unwanted experience. It's something you want to be able to address appropriately. We encourage prayer. We encourage getting outside. That's really important.
Grounding yourself.
I think grounding, walking outside, getting the vitamin D is a highly underestimated part of it.
Barefoot, yeah. Just feeling like the earth, being outside and being around nature is so beautiful for your soul. It really does. And I notice a difference in my kids when they don't play outside. They're like off the chain.
And it's healing. There's so much science to talk about there's so much science that talks about the energetic healing that happens out there. I mean, God created us. God created this world. He created us to live in this world, not to isolate ourselves in boxes with Wi-Fi continually counting us. So think about who created you and how he intended you to live, and then you can do those things in the healing process. So when my son was going through his emotional detox, we tried to spend as much time at the park as we could, because I mean, a kid cannot have a hard time at the park. They just have so much fun.
Well, and a lot of times kids look for activity and movement as like a regulation technique for their bodies and their emotions.
Movement is really important too. Yeah, so exercising is something else. Like, you're getting the kids outside in the sun, they're getting exercise, they're getting social interaction. So,
for adults too, you need to exercise.
So when you're encountering healing happening in your body and retracing happening or detox symptoms happening, don't look at it as something to be afraid of and to run away from, because if you do, then you're not going to get over this hurdle, because on the other side of this healing is going to be so much freedom in your health, so much freedom in your mental and emotional health as well. But if you never allow yourself to get over that hurdle, then you'll never know, you know, what is life without depression? I don't know. I'm just going to be stuck.
Or anger.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a welcomed and encouraging experience, but there's moderation. There is ways to slow down. So if I am doing black oxygen and I am experiencing some intense emotional detox and my stomach isn't feeling well, does that mean I'm being poisoned?
No, that's a good thing. So when you have to work through the detox symptoms to get to, like you said, the other side, right? So
when you get to the other side is you experience that freedom, but it's not, you're not being poisoned. You're finally addressing something that your whole life you haven't addressed. We don't know the long-term effects of the stress that we have in us. We don't know the long-term effects of the physical, like parasites. Well, like, if you don't address that, like, who knows, like, down the road where
it'll get worse. You know, the longer you push, it's something with like emotional trauma too. If you're feeling something and you don't let it out, right, and you shove it down, keep shoving it down, eventually that's going to come out in some form. Just like with kids, if they're not feeling connection with you and they're not feeling it, all of a sudden there's just going to be this huge outburst and this huge tantrum, and it's a really good representation of adults issue. And like adults do the same thing and we don't realize it. And then it just comes out in health issues or in depression or anxiety and things like that. So.
And we encourage, like, as you're going through your emotional detox, you can journal, like, what you're experiencing and feeling. You can look to scripture to see what God says about that and pray. So there's that emotional detox side of things. We talked about some of the physical things that you could experience. We talked about you can go as slow as you need. You can back down if you feel like you're going through a really hard state or season of your detox. There's so much grace with this, but it's something that you want to do. Now I'm going to talk about retracing, and this is something that a lot of people may not know about yet. But retracing it's not super understood in the medical community what it is, but I've personally walked through it, and I've walked many people through retracing. So essentially, when you're in a really, really good healing regimen, if you're doing a really, really good detox, then your body is finally feeling like, I can tackle this underlying issue that we've been cloaking and suppressing for so long. So it could be an old infection or an old wound, but your body will not bring that to the surface and address it until it feels like it can. That's what's really cool. And retracing does not last for a long time. So for example, about 3 weeks into my detox, I had this big boil on my forehead, and it wasn't as it was like it stood out this much, and it was like a quarter wide, and it was on my forehead, and it was so painful. I'm like, what the heck is happening to me? I look like Quasimodo from #Another I'm like, what is going on? And then I was like, this is so familiar. And then I remembered back in middle school, I had the same exact thing. And the reason why I remember this is because the kids are so nice. They drew a cartoon picture of me with this like horn on my head. So maybe this is a little bit of emotional detox with the retracing, but my body was finally able to address this physical wound that I had all the way back in middle school and push it, expel it out of my body. And I knew this was retracing because I had read about a colon cleanse. This woman was doing an intense colon cleanse, and her C-section scar started to get red and oozy, and then a couple days later she expelled a stitch A stitch was still in her body 20 years later, but in the process of her detoxing and retracing, her body expelled it. That's just crazy. Like,
wow.
we don't know like if that stitch stayed in her forever, if that would lead to anything else.
True.
But
Yeah,
retracing
sure
is very fascinating. So if you're experiencing something in your healing process that is oddly familiar, then don't fear it. Try to look at other ways to support yourself during it. You don't want to feel like for me, like put some boo on top of it and help to draw it out. Drinking a lot of water with lemon, getting outside, all the things that we have mentioned earlier. There's so many more that we
eating a
haven't
healthy
touched.
diet too.
That's really important. Yeah.
Good food fuels your body, right? Just like crappy food makes you feel crappy, good food makes you feel good.
Right. So if you have gut issues, you're not going to want to go eat carbs and milk because that is hard on your gut. You want to give your body good nutrients to push that through. Even like intermittent fasting, there's a lot of science in how your body takes the energy that it would use for digesting, and if you're fasting, it's going to redirect it to whatever else is going on in your body. So I think if you're at a place in your life and you're doing this and you're noticing you have some detoxing going on, be encouraged. It's very exciting.
You'll get through it.
Yeah, everyone does. Yeah. All right. Well, until next time. Bye.